And so hello to all of you. So I hope you enjoyed that Trinetics test yesterday. I hope everybody did okay on it. I'll try and get those marks back to you, and then I'll be sending you a mark update so you kind of know, your mark before you go into the exam. So we have one unit left. We're heading into our last unit. Okay. Our exam is. Let me just confirm our exam date. I'm going to put this in the news feed, but our exam date is June 27th. Okay. There's a couple people that their guidance counselors have emailed me and said, I can't write it on that day, but everybody else should be writing it on June 27th. It's at 11:30 and it'll go till I think 2:30. We usually give you a lot of time to write it just in case there's some computer problems. Okay. It's going to be like very similar to your unit test that you just wrote. Okay. You're going to have some multiple choice. You're going to have some matching, some true and false, and then some short answer. Okay. It's just going to be a little bit longer than your unit test, but really not much longer because. Again, I can't make it too long because of technology problems. I can't make it, have a 5-hour exam. Okay, so going into our last unit, I am super excited about this unit. It is by far my favorite unit. We're going to be talking about physiology. So what physiology is really kind of just how your body runs. And it's not just our body, it's really how all living organisms' bodies run. But for our first 3 units, we were really on a micro scale. We were looking at, like the actual structure of a macromolecule. And then we went to, okay, well, the actual structure of a cell. And then we went back to kind of micro and said, okay, let's go to the structure of DNA. And we're looking at very, very small levels. Well, now we're going to kind of blow things up. We're going to go to the macro scale. This is more of what like doctors and nurses look at. They're not really looking at cells and actual molecules. They're more looking at the overall things, like how is your body running? Is your body running properly? Is it running improperly? Okay, and this is what our last unit's about. So it's much more on a bigger scale. So if you were like, oh, I hate all this kind of chemistry a little bit, you're going to like this last unit. Okay, I absolutely love it. Now, our whole unit is called homeostasis. And what this idea is this unbelievable, amazing thing our body can do, which is to basically maintain set points. And what I mean by that is our temperature, we can only range our temperature about 35 degrees. Okay, so my body temperature is, depending on who you'd ask, we'll say 37 and a half. Okay, 37 and a half degrees Celsius. I can only go up 5 degrees higher or 5 degrees lower. Anything above that, then I'm going to be most likely fatal. Okay, now I can go a little bit colder than I can go hotter, but if I'm at getting up to 40 degrees, 41 degrees, I'm in severe peril there. Okay, I can't really function outside this set point. So my body has to constantly be adjusting. I'm sitting in this room right now. I go outside, it's a little bit colder. My body can't change the inside temperature. So it's got to make all these adjustments to make sure that my inside temperature changes the same. I jump in a pool. Okay, a pool's, say 60 degrees. My body's got to make all kinds of crazy adjustments to make sure that my body temperature stays inside that narrow window, which is just miraculous. And it's not just body temperature. We have blood glucose has got to stay in this little tiny range. The pH of our blood's got to stay in this range. How watery our blood is, like how our water balance. All these different things have to be perfectly set, and they can't vary outside that range. And our body is not stagnant, okay? It's not... we're going into different environments all the time. We're going to go through winter, and we're going to go through summer, we're going to go through rain, and we're going to go through wind, and all these different things, and our body can't change what's happening on the inside, even though the outside's constantly changing. And that's what our last unit's going to be about is, well, how do we exactly do that? How are we capable of doing that? Now, to tie in our previous units, we should know why we can't go outside those stress ranges. Okay? If I go a little bit too hot, think about what's going to happen to me. Okay? And I want you to kind of just think about that for a second. And I'm hoping that you picked up that the enzymes are going to start to denature. Well, we know how important enzymes are. Okay, they are involved in the production of any kind of reaction. So if I want to do any reaction in my body, which includes running my body or building my body, I can't do it if I'm too hot or if I'm too cold. The enzymes don't work. I can't replicate my DNA. Okay, DNA replication is based on enzymes. We have DNA polymerase. RNA polymerase, protein synthesis, all those are enzymes. And those enzymes can only work in that window of my body temperature. So if I go outside of that, it won't work. Now, it's not just my body temperature. Remember that pH has an effect. So if my blood becomes too acidic, my enzymes won't function. Therefore, I can't perform reactions. Therefore, I can't replicate my cells. I can't build any cells. I can't run any cells, and I'm going to perish. So that's why, we have to make sure that our body stays in these narrow ranges of a variety of factors. Again, not just temperature, but blood glucose levels and pH levels and water balance and making sure we get rid of any kind of toxins in our body, okay, which we're going to talk about. So that's what are going to be our last unit. It's called homeostasis, and it's really how we control everything in our body to make sure that we don't fly out of these very narrow perimeters that we have. Okay. Now we're going to talk about a couple systems. Now in grade 11 you went through the respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, and the GI tract or the gastrointestinal system. So that was like GI is like eating, cardiovascular is your blood and your heart, and then all of your vessels like your arteries, your capillaries, and your veins. And then the other system that you did was respiratory. Okay, your lungs, your diaphragm, your trachea, your larynx, and so on. Okay, the three systems we're going to go through in this unit is going to be the endocrine system, which is your hormones. Okay, so hormones are used to communicate from one cell to the other, and it's more of a broad message. So if, say, my body wants to tell my whole body. Say my brain wants to tell my whole body that I'm stressed right now. It has to send a very broad message. A message that's going to get to every muscle, that's going to get to every vein, every artery to make sure that it gets to everywhere in my body. We're going to do that through a hormone. Okay, so we're going to talk about hormone communication. It's just a way of your body communicating from one part to the other. Because if you're going to maintain this homeostasis, you're going to have one organ talk to another organ. I might have to have my brain talk to my kidneys, or have my brain communicate to my pancreas that it needs to do something, or my pancreas communicate back to my brain to do something, and then my brain to tell something else. Okay. So we go through the endocrine system, then we're going to go through the excretory system, which is basically your kidneys and how you maintain water balance within your blood, okay? And also essentially somewhat filtering of your blood, even though your liver does quite a bit of that. Okay, so you're going to go through and your kidneys control, how much water is in my blood. Am I dehydrated? If I'm dehydrated, how do I tell my body that I need to drink? How do I get that message to my brain that says, I'm thirsty, you got to start drinking? Or if I've drank too much, how does my body say, oh my God, the blood is way too watery right now? Okay, if we get cut, it'll just keep bleeding out. I got to we're going to slim down the wateriness of my blood. I don't know, wateriness is a word, but anyways. Okay, and we do that by your kidneys will start taking some of that water and turning it into urine and flushing it out. Okay, so that's our two systems. Now our last system is by far my favorite. It is our nervous system and our brain. Okay, so they're different. So we're going to focus in on the brain. Now the brain is kind of like what I call the master organ or the master brain. I'm going to call it probably the master brain, because its really job is to really control all the other organs. Okay, and the brain and the organs are responsible for maintaining homeostasis. Every organ has a job, and its job is to somehow control homeostasis, whether you're the kidneys and you're controlling water balance, or if you're the liver and you're controlling toxin balance, if you are the adrenals and you're controlling different hormonal balances. You each have a job. So each organ, what I like to call, is kind of like a mini brain, because it can function independently. It's like the kidneys are in charge of water balances. Okay, so they're like kind of like little mini brains, and then our liver's a mini brain, and our adrenals are a mini brain, and our pancreas are mini brains, because they kind of function on their own, trying to control something. And then we call our actual brain, or what I like to call our actual brain, the master brain. So we've got the master brain up here, and it's controlling all these little mini brains, which are organs inside our body, and they all work together to control homeostasis. Okay. So really, really interesting unit. I'm hoping I kind of gave a good overview of how it works. So what I'd like you to do today is you are going to go to Unit 4, and I've opened up, and I'd like you to go through Content 1 and 2. If you have lots of energy, maybe go through 3 as well. And when you click on these, I'd like you to go through, it's kind of giving you an overview of, first of all, of how homeostasis works. Now, I'm going to give you a lecture on our different feedback systems. So this is just like kind of giving you background information on how exactly homeostasis does. If you got to adjust your body temperature, there's 2 ways that we can do it, either a negative feedback or a positive feedback. So I'd like you to go through that. It gives you some examples. Okay, there's talking about going kind of over the different systems that we're going to go through, the endocrine, the nervous system. And then I'd like you to make sure that you go down here and you make these kind of small notes on these things. Okay? Then you're going to go to your next one. And our next one continues on with the endocrine system, talks about protein hormones and steroid hormones. If you remember, okay, these hormones, what are they? Okay, they're a type of lipid. Okay, one of our macromolecules, lipids. So I'd like you to go through Content 1 and 2. And if you have enough energy, you can go through 3 as well, which is again talking about our endocrine system. Okay. And I'll be giving my first lecture. The first lecture is going to be kind of an overview, and then I'm going to start with the brain and then work into my endocrine. They might go a little bit opposite in the content section, but I'll make sure that we keep up to date. Okay, so I hope that's a good overview. Make sure you get that done today, and then tomorrow's Friday. We'll do a little bit more, and then here comes the weekend. Okay. Also, we have a PD day here on Monday. I'm not sure with the rest of the board because you guys are all over Ontario. So on Monday will be kind of a free day for you, I guess, because I don't know whether you guys have a PD day, but we do, and you will have some throughout the year, and maybe you've already had some and missed those days. But on Monday will be kind of a free day for you. I highly suggest you don't take it as a free day, that you go through and study biology, and we'll go through some more endocrine systems, and I'll maybe give you some work to work